me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Rounding numbers, here we go. Here's the anchor chart that we use in class to round numbers. This is the language that we've talked through with teaching this, and if you're a student watching this, you already know what it's about. So families, parents, people helping out with the students, let's check it out. Step 1, find the rounding place and underline it. Some of the questions already have that done for you. Some of them you have to find it yourself. So knowing the place value chart is probably the most important thing to starting this process. If that's the problem, then pause this video and go to the place value chart video that I have and see if you can just kind of get yourself locked into where the place values are and really truly understand them. Step 2, look to the digit at the right of the underlined one and circle it. So here's the tenths place value in this case. We're going to circle the hundreds to the right, and from that step right there, it leads us right into step 3, and this is think. Is the number we circled a good guy or a bad guy? A little thought bubble down here is how can I check my answer? And what do I do with this circle place value? This circle place value is going to be questioned by our kiddos with the good bad number system that we talk about, and then from the good bad system that you'll find out in 1 second, it does something to the underlined digit. How can I check my answer? We'll talk about that in a second. So, and I apologize for this squeaky chair that I'm sitting on, but that's just the way it is. Here's our good numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They leave the number alone. So if the circled number has a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, then it's not going to change the underlined number. If it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it's going to change it by adding only 1. So in the example of 324, let's say we're going to underline the tens place. Right, there's our tens place, ones, tens, hundreds, whole number system. Circle the one to the right. He's a 4, so good little happy guy over there. He's going to leave him alone. This guy's going to stay who he is. Notice this one right here doesn't change it. This changes it by +1. It's a 4, leaves it alone. The 3 comes down, and the 4, he runs away because he's done with what, he's a good guy. He's going to go, I don't know, play on the playground or something, have fun. Help clean his room or something. This number rounded to the nearest tens is 320. The check I talk to my kids about, and the check that I encourage you guys to use, is this. If I'm rounded to the nearest tens, I'm saying the tens place value is my last place value and my new number. For example, this said 324. The last place value was the ones that you said. Down here, this says 320. The last place value we say is the 2 and the tens, so bingo, we did it right. Now for a couple examples from your workbook pages, or if you don't have your workbook pages in front of you, it'll be okay. You just follow along on a piece of paper or just follow along as I'm talking. So let's imagine we had 1,247 and 6/10. And we were rounding to the nearest whole number. This was a case that became kind of tricky for some people because what's the nearest whole number? Well, because we're in the decimal land here, our nearest whole number is going to be the ones. So the nearest whole number is our target. Again, underline the digit you're going to be rounding. Circle the one to the right of it. In this case, the good bad numbers are off the board, but 6, if we remember, is a bad number. It's greater than 5, and if it's greater than 5 inside that circle, it changes this +1. 7 becomes then 8, 4, 2, and then the 1 stays the same. Now, 1,248, how do I know that I've done this right? Well, again, our target place value is the nearest whole number. Do I have a decimal anymore? No. So I've correctly rounded it to the nearest whole number. The other examples are pretty straightforward. underline a place value, circle the digit to the right, question if it's good or bad, and then go on from there, and it will increase it by 1 or leave it alone. The other example that I'm going to show, or the last example rather, is when you need to do this regrouping business. So, case in point, 98 hundredths. Let's say I want to round the tenths place value, and so oh, here, I should put a 0 there, sorry, oops. So let's imagine I have underline my tenths place value, and I'm going to circle the 1 to the right. And in this case, the 8 is a bad guy, so he's going to change the 9 into its next digit 1 greater. In this case, that becomes a 10. So one way to do it is, well, drop the 0 and carry the 1, then drop the decimal, and then just bring the 1 down. That's the best way to do it. It helps you be more successful, especially when it gets bigger decimals and a lot more numbers and it gets crazy. Just if it changes to the next value, drop the 0, carry the 1, and add it to what's over there. Think of it though in terms of money. If you had 9 dimes already and you had 8 pennies coming back to you at a store, so a cash register, a cashier would they counted the 9 dimes and then they had 8 pennies. Often they would take the 8 pennies and just give you an extra dime, and in this case you would have 10 dimes, and more often than not the change that you would receive back would be just $1. That's just kind of a real world example of it. Another way to think of it is in terms of saying the place value that you're rounding to. So 8 hundredths here changes the 9 tenths into 10 tenths, and writing it as a fraction. And in this case, we see, well, that 10 tenths is equal to 1 whole, getting you back to the 1 whole. So again, the more difficult of the 3 examples, whole number rounding, the students have been working with that. Decimal rounding is new, and then decimal rounding with regrouping adds a lot of different components together. So do your best. Know that a wrong answer is just a pathway to new learning. So don't hesitate to ask me questions, and don't hesitate to make a wrong answer.
All I do is adore you all of the time. I like to